Recording. All right, good morning. Let's get started today on our mats. Let's start seated. So coming to an easy cross-legged seat, however is comfortable for you. If you want to prop yourself up, grab a block, blanket, whatever you have, and lift the hips up. Close the eyes, sit up nice and tall, and start to come to the breath. So lengthen the inhale and lengthen the exhale. See if you can get longer this round. Inhale in through the nose. Exhale back out through the nose. A little different this time. Inhale in through the nose. Take a deep, long breath. Hold it at the top, just a couple of seconds. Slowly release out of the nose. Breathe in through the nose. Softly back out. Keep going. Find your breath. So trying to find a rhythm, a pace that works for the rest of your practice, one you can keep coming back to. And then blink open the eyes. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. On the exhale, bring the left hand down out to the side. And it can be out so that the elbow bends, or you can have it straight. Just push the ground away from you. Reach the right arm up and over. Keep that right hip down on the mat. You're just getting a nice side stretch. Open the chest forward. Try not to go down toward the mat. You'll slowly switch sides, bring yourself back up through center. Right hand comes out to the right. Left arm reaches up and over. Get nice and long. Back up through center. Sit back, switch the crossing of the legs, other shin in front. Bring the hands to the knees, sit up nice and tall. Let's do some Sufi rolls. Inhale, reach forward over the right knee to the left knee and exhale back and keep going in this direction, whatever direction you started with. Hover the chest over one knee, then the other on the inhale, exhale back. You keep going. It doesn't really matter how big the circles are. It's really just about listening to your body to see what feels good and what it needs to open up and start to get moving on your mat, linking the breath with that movement. The next time the chest hovers over that second knee, pause there and switch directions. Go the other way, evening it out. Those first few revolutions, you'll feel a little bit of a difference, and then it'll just start to feel like you've been going that way the whole time. Make this the last circle. Come back up to seated. Come forward onto hands and knees, coming into tabletop. So once you come to all fours, let's change the position of the hands. So you could keep the fingertips pointing forward, but see if you can turn the fingertips to point out toward the sides of the mat. And this might be enough for the wrists and the hands. Some of you can bring the hands all the way back around so they point toward the knees. And if this is too much, another option, you can do one hand back, one hand forward. You'll just have to switch at some point. I can tell you when halfway is. So take an option that makes sense, or maybe a different option that you've never tried before. And on an inhale, reach the heart forward. And on the exhale, round the spine, come into cat pose. Then keep going, inhaling forward and exhaling back. We're about halfway. If you have one hand going one way and the other hand going the other way, switch as you come back to neutral, then keep going, inhaling forward and back. Last round. To make your way back to tabletop, turn the hands back around so they face forward. Give them a moment to just readjust to this position. And then you'll step the left foot back behind you. Spin that left heel down flat. So ideally, those right toes are pointing toward the arch of the left foot. Right hand, it can come out to the right a little bit. We're coming into a modified side plank. Sometimes it's nice to keep it over as you reach the left arm up. It just gives you a little bit more stability. Keep hugging that outer right hip in, lift the lower belly, open the chest. Press down into that left foot, that back foot. Bring the left hand back down to the mat, come back to tabletop, stretch the right toes back behind you, spin that right heel down flat. Same setup as before, maybe the left hand comes out to the side, reach the right arm up, just coming into a modified side plank. Press down into the right foot, open the chest, keep hugging that outer left hip in. Right hand comes back down to the mat, back in tabletop, little different this time. Step the left toes back behind you, spin that left heel down flat. Right hand underneath the right shoulder if you can. Reach the left arm up. You're welcome to do what we did before, but we'll give you the option to take it up this round if you want to. So root down through that left foot. You can heel toe it in a little bit if you feel like you can't put the whole sole of the foot down. Hug the belly in, reach that left arm up. See if you can hover the right knee away from the mat, just like you're bringing it in toward the chest. So you have to root down through that left leg. You'll feel the obliques. Set that right knee down. Bring the left hand back down, back to tabletop. So let that settle a little bit. We'll slowly transition over to the other side. Right toes go back. Spin the right heel down flat. Left hand underneath the left shoulder. Right arm reaches up, especially if you're doing this new thing that we're doing. Root down through that right leg and that right foot. Bring it in if you need to. Then hug the belly and lift that left knee like you're bringing it in toward the chest. Lift the hips up, push the mat away from you. Set that left knee back down. Bring the right hand back down. Back to tabletop. All right, from here, come down onto the forearms, start to walk the elbows forward, bring the forehead down to the mat, coming into puppy dog. But try not to let the belly just completely spill down toward the mat. Hug it in a little bit so you don't have that sway in the lower back. See if you can keep the hips over the knees instead of going forward. Good, then lift the head, come down onto your stomach. So just lie flat on the mat. Bring the forehead down to the mat and interlace the fingers back behind the head. So the elbows are wide. Press down into the tops of the feet. Keep the feet hip width distance apart. And then hug the belly in. Lift the chest up away from the mat. Lift the forehead away from the mat. You won't go that high. Just stay nice and long. And then exhale, bring it back down. This time, keep the forehead down. Lift the hands away from the head as much as you can. It might, you might try and nothing happens. That's fine. Just keep trying. See if you can lift the hands a little bit higher. Set the hands back down, just softly on the head, not too hard. Next, inhale, lift the hands away from the head, spread the elbows wide, get the hands up as high as you can. Maybe you lift the head and see if you can keep the hands away from the head. Lift the hands higher, lift the head higher. Set the forehead down, set the hands down, but back by the lower ribs, setting up for cobra. Then inhale, reach the heart forward, hug those elbows in. This should feel so good. Open up across the chest. Then exhale, release, come to hands and knees, tuck the toes, downward facing dog, pedal out the feet, find your stance. And start to walk the feet forward up between the hands, coming into a forward fold at the top of the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Bring the palms together overhead. Try to root down through the legs, lift up through the fingertips, hug the belly in, and lengthen the tailbone so it shouldn't feel like it's sticking out back behind you. Should be one long line, getting as tall as you can. Then look forward if you're not already. Bend the left elbow, grab the left elbow with the right arm. Find that nice shoulder stretch. And then bring the right hand out to the side, thumb side down, bring that right arm behind the back. So you're going for Gomukhasana arms, but it's still early. If the hands don't touch, it's not a big deal. Just grab your shirt. Or maybe you lay one hand underneath the other, so right hand underneath the left hand. Keep working those elbows so that the left elbow goes up and in toward the ear, and the right elbow goes down and back. Then you'll gently release, bring the arms down by the sides. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Bring the palms together, maybe look up. Then look forward. Bend the right elbow, grab that right elbow with the left hand. Find that nice shoulder stretch. You're getting that right hand in place for Gomukhasana. So once you have it, then the left arm comes out to the side. Bring that left arm behind the back. Probably a different situation on this side. Maybe it's a little easier, maybe it's a little bit more difficult. Try not to puff out the ribs. And then try to look forward so the head doesn't go down. You can even push that right arm back a little bit with the head. Release the arms down by the sides. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, step the left foot back. Find a runner's lunge. Set that back knee down. Untuck the toes. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Lift and spread the chest. You can bend the elbows, but try to see if you can bring the palms together as you interlace the hands. It'll be easier if you bend the elbows to get the palms together. Set the hands back down onto the mat. Step the left foot forward to meet the right foot. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Right foot steps back. Keep the toes tucked. Set that back knee down. Interlace the fingers the other way behind the back. One finger over. Same thing, palms together. Elbows can bend. Lift and spread the chest. Feel that opening across the psoas and hip flexor area on the right side. Hands come back down to the mat. Right foot steps forward to meet the left foot. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Lower all the way down to the mat slowly. Inhale up, cobra. Maybe you hover the hands and keep the height of the chest. Set the hands down, release, downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, bring it back up to plank pose. Back to downward facing dog. Few breaths in your downward facing dog. Press into those fingertips so you don't dump into the wrists. Then bend the knees, look forward, step, walk, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Bring the palms together and down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down, step back to plank pose, lower down halfway chaturanga, up dog or cobra. Exhale, back, down dog. Bend the knees, look to the top of the mat, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Bring the hands together overhead and down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down, step back to plank pose. Lower down halfway to chaturanga. Inhale up for your back bend. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Staying with that rhythm of the breath that you set at the very beginning. Bend the knees, look forward, feet forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up to the top. Bring the hands together overhead and down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down. Step back to plank pose. Go through a vinyasa. Modify it if you want to. And we'll meet back in dog. Bend the knees, look forward to the top of the mat. Step, hop, bring the feet up between the hands. Keep the feet hip width distance apart. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold over the legs. Come into chair pose, Utkatasana. Sink the hips a little lower and lift the chest a little bit higher. Keep the core hugging in. Keep getting a little lower with the hips. We're eventually going to come to seated on the mat, but maybe you hover in a squat with the toes forward, reaching the arms up or forward. And then you'll slowly set your hips down, come into boat pose. Keep the chest lifted the whole time as you reach the arms forward. Then Ardha Navasana. Hover so that the heels are above the mat, shoulders are lifted from the mat, arms are still reaching forward. Then lift the legs up so that they're right over the hips. Reach the arms up, hug the belly in, lift the hips without moving the feet forward toward the hands. So it's a really small movement and it's difficult to do. Set the hips back down. Do that again. Lift the hips up. Keep reaching the arms up as high as you can when you do that. Set the hips down. You can set the head and the shoulders down. So we'll play with that again. Lift the arms up, lift the shoulder blades up, lift the head up, keep looking forward, hug the belly in, lift the hips up as high as you can without moving the feet forward. It's barely anything. Set the hips down, set the head down. Keep reaching up with the arms. Last one. Reach up with the upper body. Reach up with the lower body, keeping the distance between the hands and the feet. Set the hips down, set the head and the shoulders down, keep reaching up. Now reach forward with the arms, lift the chest, just like we did before. Come back to Ardha Navasana. Hover the heels just above the mat. Come back to boat pose. Hug that core in, keep squeezing the inner thighs, reaching the heart forward, and then reaching the fingertips forward. Back to Ardha Navasana. Up to Navasana. So options here. You can keep the arms forward as you go back and forth. You could also use support by bringing the fingertips down onto the mat. So you would hover down Ardha Navasana, either fingertips down or fingertips forward. Come back up Navasana. Another thing you can do is hang on to the backs of the thighs. That might be better too. And then you can come into your Navasana, grab the backs of the thighs, come up, Navasana, or maybe arms forward. So just choose one that makes sense for you. Stay with your breath. Keep squeezing those thighs together like you have a block between the thighs, and keep the whole body engaged. And this is at your own pace. So you can stay with me. If you want to go slower, you can do that. If you want to go faster, that's fine. Just don't go too fast. Stay with the rhythm of your breath. One more, starting in boat pose, coming into Ardha Navasana, back up to boat pose, set the feet down, rest with the hands on the knees, sit up nice and tall, feet are on the mat. And then rock back, grab the thighs, take some rocks, build some momentum. Maybe 2 more rocks, and we're coming back to chair pose. If you want 1 more rock, I'm gonna take it. Back to chair pose, with or without the hands to bring yourself up. Come up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. On the exhale, fold, step the left foot back, spin that left heel down flat, heel to arch, right forearm, right thigh, reach that left arm up toward the sky, coming into side angle pose. Turn that left palm to face behind you, wrap the left arm behind the back. So you're coming into your half bind. Keep the right knee over the right ankle. If you feel open enough for a full bind, you could reach underneath the right thigh, see if the hands connect, open the chest. And we'll come back into this, so if you want to stick with the half bind, that's totally fine. Press down into both legs. Keep spinning the chest open. Reverse warrior. Unwind, reach that right arm up and back. Keep sending that right knee forward and then straighten the leg. Keep reaching up and back. Reverse triangle. Come back to reverse warrior. Send that right knee straight forward. Windmill the hands down to the mat. Come onto the ball of the back foot. Line up the left toes with the left hand. You might need to heel toe that right foot out a little bit. Reach the right arm up. So you're coming into a twist, but try not to take that left hip with you. So pressing down into the right foot helps you square off the hips as you open the chest. Left shoulder's down the back, so it's not going forward over the top of the mat. Roll onto the outer edge of the left foot, Vashisthasana side plank. Now you can take a modified version of side plank if you'd like. Lift the hips up, point the tailbone back toward the heels. So you should feel like it's better to overarch than to dip the hips down toward the mat. Keep pushing the mat away from you. Make sure you're using those left fingertips and not dumping totally into the wrist. Hug the right knee in toward the chest. Step that right foot forward, back to your lunge. Right hand down. Step the left foot forward, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold back to chair pose, Utkatasana. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, sit back, chair. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, step the right foot back. Spin that right heel down flat. Heel to arch, left forearm, left thigh. Reach the right arm straight up, side angle pose. Once you get that left knee over the left ankle, or somewhere near there, you can be behind the left ankle, but if you're looking for more intensity, keep it stacked. Turn that right hand back behind you. Wrap the right arm behind the back. Find the half bind. Maybe play with the full bind. Left hip still hugging in. If you feel like it's swinging out to the side, give yourself a little bit more length by hugging it in so it's right behind the left knee. Reverse warrior. Release the clasp or the half bind. Reach that left arm up and back. Send that left knee forward and then straighten the leg. Reverse triangle. Back to reverse warrior. Send that left knee straight forward. Windmill the hands down to the mat, coming onto the ball of the back foot, setting up for your twist. Right hand underneath the shoulder, left arm reaching up. Keep that right hip engaged. Look down at the right hand. Come onto the outer edge of the feet. Stack the feet, Vashisthasana, or whatever version of side plank makes sense. Lift the hips up. Keep reaching that left arm up. Lengthen the tailbone. Hug the left knee in toward the chest. Step that left foot forward toward the top of the mat, hands down, right foot forward, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Any version of a vinyasa that makes sense for you right now. It could be skipping it too. Back to downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, feet forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose. Feet hip width distance apart, toes point straight forward. Sink the hips a little bit, lift the chest. Slowly start to bring the hips down toward the mat. Maybe hovering in Malasana squat, but the toes are forward, feet hip width distance apart, reaching the chest up, the hands forward, slowly come back into boat pose. Keep reaching the arms forward. So we're coming back into this. Choose any option that makes sense if you want more support. Ardha Navasana. Navasana. Keep those thighs squeezing together. Ardha. Back up, Navasana. Ardha. Back up to Navasana. Set the feet down. Grab the knees. Sit up nice and tall. This time, bring the hands back behind you so you can turn the fingertips to point out, or you can turn them back around. Sometimes some of those options are not available. You can also turn, if that's not working, you can also turn the hands to face forward. So figure out which one is giving you the most space right now. Lift the hips up, coming into reverse tabletop. And set the hips back down to the mat. Rock back. Few rocks. Let's do 3. Bring yourself back up to chair. Use the hands if you want to, or try to come back up without using the hands. Rise all the way up to the top. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, step the left foot back, spin the left heel down flat, come back into side angle pose, forearm to thigh, reach that left arm up. Find the half bind first. Stay here or play with the full bind. Reverse warrior, take your time, release the clasp if you have it, reach that right arm up and back. Straighten the front leg, keep reaching up and back. Back to reverse warrior. Hands come down to the mat, come onto the ball of the back foot. Right arm reaches up, find that twist. Get the left hand in place, pressing into the fingertips. Bring the shoulder so that's in its socket, not reaching forward. Come onto the outer edges of the feet. Vashisthasana. This time, if you want to play a little bit, you could hover the right foot, step it back behind you, so just the big toe barely touches the mat. Reach up and over, flipping your dog. Coming into wild things, you open up across the chest. You're pressing the hips up with the glutes, pushing the mat away from you. Back to side plank, arm reaches up toward the sky, stack the feet, hug that right knee in toward the chest, step it forward, hands down, left foot steps forward, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, other side. Step the right foot back. Spin that right heel down flat. Side angle pose. Left forearm, left thigh. Reach the right arm up. Get long in the legs. Spin that right hand to face behind you. Wrap the right arm behind the back, finding the half bind. Stay here or play with the full. Reverse warrior. Take your time in the transition. It's a bigger one. Reverse triangle, straight in the front leg. Keep reaching up and back. Back to reverse warrior, sending the left knee forward. Windmill the hands down to the mat. Come onto the ball of the back foot. Make sure the feet are hip width distance. Right hand underneath the right shoulder. Lift that left arm up. Keep the right hip engaged. Roll onto the outer edges of the feet. Vashisthasana. Maybe hover that left foot just a few inches from the right. Bend the knee. Lightly land the left big toe, lift the hips way up, reach up and over with the left arm. Push the mat away from you, still using those fingertips. Back to Vashisthasana, lift the left arm, stack the feet, hug the left knee in toward the chest, step it forward to the top of the mat. Hands down, look forward, step the right foot forward, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down. Step back to plank pose. You choose Vinyasa or straight back to downward facing dog. Take care of those shoulders, wrists, arms. Bend the knees, look forward, bring the feet forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, sit back, chair pose, feet still hip width distance. Start to come back down toward the mat, maybe hovering in that squat, keeping the length in the spine. Set the hips down, boat pose. And it's up to you. I keep my legs bent. You could also keep the legs extended. That definitely makes it harder. And sometimes it's a little much for our hip flexors. So just listen to your body and see which one's calling to you today. And then hover Ardha Navasana. Just 3 of these. Back up Navasana. Ardha. Navasana. Come back down. Come back up. Set the feet down. Rest the hands on the knees. Sit up nice and tall. And let's rock back. Grab the backs of the thighs. Take 3 rocks. Build up some momentum. See if you can come back to chair without using the hands or not using the hands as much. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, left foot steps back, spin that left heel down, right forearm, right thigh, side angle pose. Take that half bind, maybe deeper into the full. Reverse warrior. Straighten the front leg, keep reaching up and back. This time, let's take triangle. Come up to standing, spread the arms out wide, heel toe the back foot in if you want to. Stretch that right arm forward, bring the right arm down, left arm up, Trikonasana. Still hugging the belly in as you press down to the legs and lift up with that left arm. Slow and controlled reverse warrior. Take your time. Hands windmill down to the mat. Come onto the ball of the back foot. Widen the feet to hip width distance if you haven't already. Right arm reaches up. Find that twist. Vashisthasana, take your time. Any version works. Hover the right foot away from the left. Bend that right knee. Lightly set the toes down. Maybe you don't even set the toes down and you lift them on the right foot as you reach up and over. Back to Vashisthasana. Right arm reaches up. Hug the right knee in toward the chest. Step the right foot forward. Hands down. Find that runner's lunge. Reach the heart forward. Then step the left foot forward. Forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Right foot steps back. Spin that right heel down flat. Left forearm, left thigh. Side angle pose. Spin that right hand to face behind you. Wrap the right arm behind the back. Half bind or full. Reverse warrior, gently release. Slowly start to make your way into it. Straighten the front leg, reverse triangle. Come up to standing. Maybe you heel toe the back foot in a little bit. Triangle pose. Get some length in the left side of the body before you bring the left arm down. And if you spread your arms out wide, it's kind of easier to line them up so that one hand is directly over the other hand. Open the chest, hug the belly in a little bit, press down into those legs. Let's take this to reverse warrior. Bring the hands down to the mat as you come onto the ball of the back foot. Feet hip width, right hand down, left arm up. Find that twist. Keep that right hip engaged the whole time. Make sure you use those right fingertips. Side plank, roll onto the outer edges of the feet, stack the feet, maybe, unless you're taking a modified version. Maybe you hover that left foot, bend the left leg, gently step the left toes back, or maybe you hover the left toes as you lift the hips up, reaching the left arm forward. Back to side plank, reach that left arm up, hover the left foot, knee in toward the chest, step it forward to the top of the mat, left hand down, find that runner's lunge. Right foot steps forward to meet the left. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down to the mat, step back to plank pose. Any way you want, back to downward facing dog. Few breaths in your downward facing dog. See if you can get the hips up and back. Get nice and long in the arms and legs. Then bend the knees. Look forward toward the top of the mat. Bring the feet forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose. All the way up to standing. Hands come together down in front of the heart. Inhale, sit back, Utkatasana chair pose. Let's bring it down toward the mat. Go slow. So you keep those knees pointing forward. Ankles are firm. You're slowly bringing the hips down. Maybe you hover in that squat. Make it back to Navasana as smoothly as you can. 3 of these. Come back to Ardha. Back up to Navasana. Back to Ardha. Navasana. Last one. Bring it back up. Let's rock. Build up some momentum. So we're trying to get to this chair pose without using the hands or using them less. And you don't have to stick it. You just got to try to see if you have a little bit more access to the core and the whole body working together. And then exhale, forward fold. Let the head and the neck go. Maybe you clasp opposite elbows, feet hip width distance apart. As you let yourself unwind. Hands come back down to the mat. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Step that left foot back. Spin that left heel down flat. Right hand inside of the right foot. Left arm reaches up. Stay here, half bind or full bind. Whatever feels good right now. Reverse warrior. Take your time. Straighten the front leg, keep reaching up and back. Triangle pose. Stand tall, reach that right arm forward, then bring it down, left arm up. Back to reverse warrior. Windmill the hands down to the mat. Come onto the ball of the back foot. Left hand down, right arm up. Keep the hips square and level. Press down into those left fingertips, shoulder in place, Vashisthasana. Maybe you hover the foot, maybe you step that foot back, maybe you reach the hips up as you reach the right arm up and over. Back to Vashisthasana, arm goes up toward the sky, hover the foot, knee to the chest, step that right foot forward, hands down, find that runner's lunge, then step the left foot forward, just the other side. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, right foot steps back, spin that right heel down flat, left hand inside of the left foot, reach the right arm up. Half or full bind, or stay here. Reverse warrior. Straighten the front leg. Keep reaching up and back. Triangle pose. Come up to standing. Reach forward. Find Trikonasana. Back to reverse warrior. Bend that front leg. Reach up and back. This is our final thing. Bring the hands down to the mat. Come onto the ball of the back foot. Right hand down, left arm up. Find the twist. Keep that right hip engaged, right fingertips engaged. Vashisthasana. Stay here. Play with setting the toes back behind you and reaching up with the hips, left arm over the head. Back to side plank. Hover the left foot, knee to the chest, step that left foot forward, hands come down to the mat, right foot steps forward next to the left foot. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Slide the hands underneath the feet, Padahastasana, so the palms and the soles of the feet are together. You can bend the knees to do that if it's not happening. And then see if you can walk the toes up so they're on the wrists, and then start to press the toes into the wrists. Such a nice way to open them up. Let the head and the neck go. Shift forward onto the balls of the feet. You'll feel the weight a little differently on the hands, but you'll also feel some more length in the back sides of the legs. So it should feel like the thighs, the backs of the thighs are broadening. Move the hands out from underneath the soles of the feet. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down. One more vinyasa if you want it. You can skip it and go straight back to downward facing dog. Once you reach downward facing dog, bring the knees down to the mat. Take child's pose. Big toes together. Sit the hips back. Forehead comes down. Start to walk the hands in, sit onto one hip, extend the legs out in front of you. So you're coming to seated. And then from here, same thing with the hands. So bring the hands back behind you, either fingertips out or back behind you, or the fingertips pointing forward. So see which one feels better. I'm gonna go fingertips pointing toward the back of the mat. Then walk the feet in. We're coming back to reverse tabletop. Set the hips back down onto the mat. Come onto your back. Keep the feet where they are. Same thing, lift the hips up, but you're coming into bridge pose. So get those shoulder blades underneath you. Lift and spread the chest. Interlacing the fingers is an option, or just keep the arms down by the sides or grab the outer edges of the mat. So find length in the lower back. Hug the belly in. Slowly release. Hips come down, rest here. One more back bend. Stick with bridge or bring the hands back by the ears, coming up to Urdhva Dhanurasana. Shoulders are pretty open from our practice. If you're all the way up, chin to chest, set yourself back down onto the mat wherever you are. Rest here, arms out to the side. And then scoot the hips over to the right. Gently bring the knees over to the left, taking an easy spinal twist. Right arm can come outside of the shoulder. Let the gaze fall over the right arm. Start to look back up. Bring the feet back down onto the mat. Scoot the hips the other way. Knees come over to the right. Find your spinal twist on the other side. And to come out of this twist, we'll just roll over onto our right side. So you're already more than halfway there. You just bring the left arm all the way over, lying on your right side. Use the hands to bring yourself up to seated, coming back to an easy cross-legged seat. Doesn't matter which shin is in front. Sit up nice and tall. See if you can cross at mid-shin, toes point forward. Reach the arms all the way up and fold forward. So you don't have to go all the way down. You're just looking for that hip opening. Some of you will want to go all the way down, and that's totally fine. But just come into a place where you feel like you're not all the way into it. So maybe 80%. Come back to your breath. Start to close the eyes. And let the breath take you into the pose deeper if that's what naturally happens. So come back to that same breath you started practice with. Keeping long inhales and exhales. Smooth and rhythmic. Start to feel the hips open up a little bit more. And how that relaxes the rest of the body. You'll start to walk the hands in, bringing yourself back up to seated. Start to walk the hands back behind you, lean back, switch the crossing of the legs so the other shin comes in front. Start to bring yourself back up to sitting upright. Maybe lift the hips, you set them back down and they feel nice and even. Crossing at mid shin or whatever you did on the first side, toes point forward. Reach the arms up, get nice and long as you root down through the legs. Bring the hands down. Come down, come into this pose 80%, whatever that feels like for you. Start to close the eyes. Come back to that focus of the breath. Lengthening the inhales and the exhales, in and out through the nose. Just letting the pose happen. Start to walk the hands back in. Make your way back up. Bring the hands back behind you. Uncross the legs, extend the legs out in front of you. Reach the arms all the way up. Fold forward. Seated forward fold. So if you look at the feet, the toes are pointing straight up toward the sky. Big toe mound of the foot is pushing away from you, and the pinky edge of the foot is coming in toward you. That should help you feel like the legs get a little bit longer, especially the inner edges of the legs. Start to make your way back up to seated. Once you get to seated, scoot yourself forward on your mat so you have plenty of room to lay down. Keep the legs the way that they are. Reach the arms forward, palms facing up. Hug the belly in. Start to round the spine. Keep that belly in for support. You're slowly setting yourself down as you round the spine. And see if you can make it so that you just set down each part of the back. So the lower back, middle back, upper back, shoulders, head, hands. Maybe you widen the feet a little bit. Maybe you lift the chest a little bit to get the shoulders underneath you. Close the eyes. Take a deeper breath in through the nose. Exhale out of the mouth, let it go. Shavasana. Start to deepen the breath. Wiggle the fingers and the toes. Reach the arms overhead. Find that stretch coming back into your body. So open, so strong. Walk the feet in, bend the legs. And you'll start to make your way onto your right side, just lying there. Use the hands to bring yourself up to an easy cross-legged seat, sitting up nice and tall. Feeling this place of home within yourself. Let's bring the hands together, bow the head to honor and acknowledge your heart and spirit, as well as everyone around you. Bring the head back up, blink open the eyes. Namaste. Thank you for joining either live or doing the recorded version. It's kind of nice knowing, even if you don't do it live, that we all went through the same sequence in our own way, making us feel a little bit more connected.